Hello and welcome to Wolfman Gaming. This is my Uncharted 1 Crushing Difficulty walkthrough, and this is chapter 13, also known as Sanctuary ? And is this a sanctuary? No. No, it is not. Here in this chapter we are actually gonna see a change in gameplay, or in the enemies, to be more precise. We are getting introduced to a new type of enemy in this chapter, and those are the enemies known as mercenaries. And the mercenaries are quite different from the pirates in the fact that they do have body armor, most of them. So they take a bit more punishment before they go down, and also they have more powerful weapons. Their shotguns, instead of MOS 12s, they have SAS 12s. Instead of AKs, they use M4s. And they have Berettas instead of whatever. The first handgun you get, the one that looks like James Bond's Walter PPK. It's called a PM 9mm. Thank you very much for that, Nate. But the game is gonna be a bit more difficult from now on. As always in games, when you get further into the game, you get introduced to harder enemies to kill, and they are no different in this. And also, a lot of the enemies have Desert Eagles, and you will know when an enemy has a Desert Eagle because they have a laser sight. But as with all enemies in the Uncharted series, whenever they use a laser-sighted weapon, like a sniper rifle or in this case the Desert Eagle, they take about 5 weeks to line up their sight before they shoot at you. And here we have our first mercenary. And I think one of the guys in this fight actually has a Desert Eagle. And as always when it comes to power weapons, if he manages to aim at you or get a lock on to you, even though it takes a while, if he gets a lock on, you're dead. So whenever one of those guys try to aim at you, always do the rolling. Always roll by pressing circle. Then they won't be able to get a lock on you, and you'll be able to get out of harm's way, and you can get close enough to either take them out with your hands or just shoot them. And here is also another guy with a Desert Eagle, and luckily we brought our West 44, and I missed completely. And as you can see, he has body armor. He took a magnum shot to the chest like a beast. He barely even flinched. So I'm gonna switch over to the Desert 5. I think it has the same damage output as the West 44. I'm not 100% certain, but I'm pretty sure it does. And we are gonna continue onwards. And there are mainly 2 big fights in this chapter coming up. And they are quite tough, both of them. But the second one has one big design flaw, which we are gonna use and abuse. Like you should in a walkthrough. Because I know that when you play just for your own amusement, some people think that you should never abuse games. It should all be about skill when it comes to higher difficulties. And when I play just for myself, I may approach a game differently. I can go for the more challenging paths just to become a better gamer, because I like being challenged. But I've talked about this before, since this is a walkthrough, fuck challenge. If there's a way to abuse the game and I know of it, I'm gonna use it, because I want to make it as easy as possible. That is the purpose of a walkthrough. This is the purpose of this walkthrough, at least. Because I mentioned before, if I were to make this entirely based around my skill level, then it wouldn't help anyone who isn't as skilled as I am. And if you're as skilled as I am, you you have no need for a walkthrough. So I'm gonna try to make it as easy as possible, and when we get to that second big fight, I'm gonna show you exactly what I mean. But going into this first fight, this is the first big fight, and this can be quite tough. What I like to do is go over here to the right side. I'm running around a little bit because I'm trying to trigger the enemy spawn. I'm not having big success with it. I've heard that over there to the left there is a stairway. I've heard someone talk about that you can bypass this fight by running immediately up that stairway and onto the next area. I'm not 100% sure if it works or not. If you have tried it and know that it works, or if you try it and get it to work, please let me know in the comments. It would be really fun to find out. But I think next time I play this game I may try it, but I don't know when that will be. But this fight, as I said, can be quite tough. I like to set up post here on the right side, because all the enemies spawn in from the left and from the center. And Elena will draw quite a lot of fire onto her. And since, what I was supposed to say is that since the enemies spawn in from the left and the center, I prefer to be over here on the right side, because it gives you that extra moment to take aim if someone tries to flank you. I've seen some people hang around this corner and just stand a bit behind it and flip their sight from right to left to get a better drop at enemies, but I like to move around this corner, take cover behind the wall whenever I can. And when you see those enemies spawning in at stairway, you know that you've gotten through the biggest part of this fight. And the guy with the laser sight and the Desert Eagle on top of the stairs, that's where we're going. So if you're gonna try to abuse and bypass this fight, that's where you wanna go. But there are a lot of enemies here. As you can see, I was starting to get a little bit nervous while I was recording this, because I was starting to run low on ammo. And this is one of those areas where you may run out if you're not careful. You need to what's it called? Manage your ammo in this area, because as I said, there are quite a few enemies and you don't get a lot of ammo pickups prior to this. But as long as you don't rush anything and make your shots count, you shouldn't have too much problems. And always when you shoot an enemy at a long distance, especially with an automatic rifle, always go for short controlled bursts. Because we know with the assault rifles in this game, they have a tendency to go all over the place. But I think this is the last guy. There is one guy up to the right as well. And you can ignore that guy up on the right. I don't ignore him because I know I will be venturing up there later. And I don't want to get murked by him as soon as I come up there. So I'm gonna hang around for a little while extra and try to take him out, as he dodges bullets like a boss. That would have been awesome if that had been a headshot, that last bullet. One bullet left and down he goes. But no, I hit his upper chest instead. So he survived for a little while longer. And he's gonna spend some time trying to shoot me down, and I'm not gonna give him that opportunity. Also, when you go up these stairs, be very careful. There is a guy in the next room with a shotgun. You can see me being very cautious. He's right down there. He spawns in right now, and he comes walking up these stairs. And if you're not prepared for him, he may kill you instantly. By the way, that's what I was talking about. If you run up there and into that room where he is, that's where we are gonna progress further on. And I've heard that you can go in there and just bypass this entire sequence. But down he goes, and I'm gonna run around here for a little while and try to see if I can pick up something good. Because I know that there are some big fights coming up. As I said, there is a huge fight after this. What the hell? Apparently there are 2 guys up there, because I'm sure I could see him go down. Huh. That's odd. Anyway, now he's dead. Or maybe that's the game's way of telling me, move on. You've been here for long enough. But the next fight coming up, the biggest fight, it's in a great big courtyard. There are guys with sniper rifles, there are guys with shotguns, probably a few Desert Eagles, assault rifles and bullshit, and you're gonna be in a very tight spot. It is without a doubt one of the absolutely hardest fights in this game. But as I said, it has one big design flaw. And yeah, I might as well tell you. You can bypass that fight. And that's what we're gonna do. It's something I just stumbled across online. Actually, I saw it in a video and I was like, I didn't know you could do that. Because I have a great strategy if you want to do it fair. But I don't know where I saw it, but I stumbled across it and realized that's a much easier way of doing this. Because my strategy is to, when you get into that courtyard, you immediately make a left. This is just me running around like an idiot. You immediately make a left and head up the stairs. There's a stairway to the left, and if you climb up there and you stand on it, you can more or less just bottleneck the enemies. Because you can hide between or hide behind the railings on both sides of the stairs, and enemies will have a really hard time to get at you. But since this is a walkthrough, I want to make it as easy as possible. And it can be quite grueling. Even with that strategy, it's still a tough fight. It's gonna be somewhat skill based, because you can get unlucky that someone launches a grenade up there and you will have no way out. But we're gonna do this the easy way. So the first thing you want to do is just start running. Not stop running, start running and roll, because the people with the laser sights are gonna try and shoot you. You may get stuck to covers, but this is my first try on this. First I tried my technique, I get thinking about this other way of doing it, and it worked. And the reason for that little transition right there is that I get murked more or less instantly when I came in here. But as soon as you get in through that giant hole in the wall, you reach a checkpoint. So you have just bypassed that huge fight. And now we can go on to these guys. And this fight is not very hard. It can take a while, because these guys love to play hide and go fuck yourself around these pillars down here, or these bookshelves, whatever it is. It's a puzzle at least. So you're gonna have to take some time. We're gonna work around this balcony and try to get those lucky moments where Elena may have their attention turned towards her. Ooh, that was a nice shot. That's one of those glorious headshots. Anyway, when Elena manages to get their attention turned towards her, we are gonna take those opportune moments to flank them or get in behind them up here. And they are very happy about throwing grenades at you. But that's the best part about being on a higher vantage point, is that they oftentimes have very hard time getting grenades up to where you are. That is something that really changed in the second game, I think I mentioned it before that in the second game they are much better at throwing grenades. Because a guy can be at the other end of the map and plant a grenade right in between your twinkly toes. But I've been playing Uncharted 2 a lot now. I've been recording for the last few days. I gotten pretty far into the game, even though I'm having a bit of problems with my game capture card or my computer. I'm not quite sure what the problem is, because at times my computer suddenly loses the signal from my game capture card and then it regains it seconds later, and I've done some troubleshooting and I'm not quite sure, as I said, what the problem is, because I talked to Apple support. I've talked to them over the phone. I've talked to them via their chat service, and they can't seem to find a problem. So, because the problem is, I don't think there's something wrong with the card, because I tried plugging it into my girlfriend's MacBook. I used a PC before I bought this iMac, and I didn't have any problems at all. But I'm gonna continue troubleshooting it, and hopefully I'll find a solution very soon. But we're getting close to the end of this fight. I'm running around a little bit because I'm not quite sure where the last guy is, because I can hear the music still going, and I don't want to be too aggressive because I don't know what kind of weapon he has. Because if he's a shotgunner or a magnum guy, I'm instantly dead. And he was a shotgunner. And I apologize for that very choppy transition right there, because as soon as he goes down, you go into a cutscene. So that's all there is to it. And now we're gonna do a little puzzle solving, because you can see a compass at the floor, and if you check in Nate's journal, he's gonna show you how you're supposed to turn these statues to open the door into the catacombs. And as all other puzzles in these games, this is very basic, very simple. I'm just running around here a little bit because I thought I saw some ammo, and I didn't, so we're gonna continue with this puzzle. You can either watch this walkthrough for the solution. I can't remember the solution right now, but you'll see it in this video. Or you can just open it via Nate's journal, because if you press the big square button in the middle of your gamepad, he will pick up his journal and show you the solution. Which I think is... I think they could have done the puzzles in this series a bit more elaborate, because I think what's the point of having puzzles if they are gonna give you the solution more or less directly? Because you don't even have to think for a second. All you have to do is be able to press a button, look up the solution, and you're done. It would have been a lot more fun if it had been a riddle or something. But that's just me. I like problem solving. I like doing puzzles and all that stuff. But it's not for everybody. But I think it could have been more fun. It would have added an extra layer of challenge to this game. Because you have to be a bit strategic to win in the firefights, but it would also have been fun if they had worked more on puzzle solving. Except for there is one place in, I think it's Uncharted 3, where they have a puzzle that can go to hell as far as I'm concerned, but we'll get to that. But this is the end of chapter 13, and I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in my next video. So until next time, this is the Wolfman signing off.